on Hubert Hurkacz. There's Hurkacz getting ready to make his walk, guys. Paul, this is a match that we saw yesterday in the very first match of the round robin, and Hurkacz tuned Tommy up pretty well, 4-2 and 4-love. What was the dynamic in that match, and what does Tommy need to change in this version?
Well, I think generally Hurkacz has just been a little sharper. We've seen flashes from Tommy Paul the last couple of days, but he's the one that seems to be a little bit more up and down. This man right here seems to be hitting his stride pretty quickly. Played well this morning against Riley Opelka. Very professional in how he goes about things, so it doesn't shock me that he's pretty well prepared to go in here. For Tommy Paul, look, this is a opportunity to finish on a high note. He hasn't played such great tennis. As we have a look at him just getting ready to stroll out onto the court, it's a good time for him to finish with a plus. Try to get out here and play big ground stroke tennis and dictate points.
Jim, will Tommy be eager here to post a win on the board before this thing's over?
I think we're going to see pretty early on where he is. Energy level is going to be a question mark. If he was able to pound some of those energy gels or get a little food in the system, it's a tight turnaround for him. So it'll be interesting to see. He's going to need a good jump is kind of the way it feels. I'm not sure that this thing goes 3 sets, even in this shorter fast 4 format, that would favor him.
Yeah, he's already had 2 situations in the round robin where he's won the first and dropped the next 2. So we'll have our consolation match for you. Coming up next, it's Tommy and Hurkacz. Stay with us live on Tennis Channel. Back live in West Palm Beach, Florida, as the 2020 reopen continues on Tennis Channel. The return of pro sports to the United States, led by the sport of tennis. Our third place playoff match on the way between American Tommy Paul and Hubert Hurkacz of Poland, Brett Haber, Prakash Amritraj, and the rest of our Tennis Channel team in Florida and in LA. And Jim said it's going to be a question to some degree, at least, Prakash, of what Tommy has in the tank right now.
Yeah, I think that last match, he didn't have much in that third set. It's a quick turnaround again. But perhaps the fact that he didn't have a great showing, we see him, he gave a little change of wardrobe here. Hopefully makes him feel a little bit fresh. But he got off to a good start against Hurkacz yesterday. Got up a break, but then it was complete one-way traffic after that. So I think right from the start, he's going to have to do a better job of disrupting his big 6'5" opponent. Not let him feel as comfortable as he did yesterday.
That score was 4-2 4-love for Hurkacz in the very first match of the round robin yesterday. So here they go again. What went so well for Hurkacz in that match?
Well, he was never really rushed. When Tommy's playing his best tennis, he's really dictating with that forehand. And a player at 6'5", you can try to expose his movement a little bit, get him on the run, out wide both sides, really get him going behind him a little bit, try to expose that movement. Tommy can certainly do that with that forehand. It's a big enough shot to make a lot of people feel uncomfortable, but we saw a lot of errors from Tommy yesterday, and his footwork wasn't great, not able to get himself in position. So hopefully if he can tighten that up a little bit, especially in the early goings here, could give himself a good shot.
It's really interesting. We're in such uncharted territory for this sport to have a layoff of 2 months or more. I mean, the off-season in tennis, especially if you're someone who plays in either the ATP Finals or the Davis Cup Finals, you play right until the middle end of November. What have your observations been about the level of play and sort of the overall fitness these guys are in, having been away from the court for essentially 2 months?
Well, general fitness and level of play, I've actually been quite surprised. You would think after a break like that, you would come back, be a little bit rusty, but match fitness is very different. So, you know, as we saw even from Riley, he pulled up, it seemed to be a little bit tight today, and he played 2 best-of-3 fast 4 sets. Normally he'd, you know, be used to playing best-of-3 sets. Full matches could go 3 hours. As he mentioned in Delray Beach, he played 2 full matches in that format. So I think in that aspect they're a little bit out of shape match-wise, but level of play looks good. It's been a treat for us to watch.
Bear in mind that these matches and results count towards the player's universal tennis rating. They've been updating them after each match is complete. And in this match, as you might expect, Hurkacz with an edge in all categories.
Yeah, I think Tommy's going to really have to step it up to be able to take out Hurkacz today. A lot of it, I think, is going to come down to the beginning. We've seen when a player is able to get that momentum, he's really able to run with it.
Don't forget that you can get your own universal tennis rating. Every player in the world is entitled to it. It's free. You just create an account at myutr.com and enter your results on the UTR match play tile every time you play a match. Great way to, as you see the motto there on the bottom of the fence, play locally, count globally. Under normal circumstances, you got to get on a plane, go play in a tournament, win some matches to get points. Now you can do it right here on your home court.
Love 15.
So Hurkacz near court with the stripe of blue across the top of his shirt. Tommy serving in the far court in his Wimbledon whites.
Love 30.
Took that a good 2.5 paces inside the baseline, did Hurkacz, and Love 30 right out of the gate.
$15.30.
Double fault gives Hurkacz 3 break chances in game number 1. We continue in the fast 4 no-ad format for the consolation match and the final.
Good first serve there from TP. Easy power. Seems to come off his arm. Pretty loose shoulder he's got.
Deciding point, receiver's choice.
Now that's a good play for him. He uses it quite a bit on clay. Kicker out wide, opens up the court.
Now Hurkacz had more success in the ad court on his deciding points against Riley Opelka. He will go with the ad court here against Tommy. And Paul wiggles out as the forehand flies long, so the American holds to open our third place playoff. Quick reminder that the 2020 reopen will continue with the top women returning to action in the next edition of the UTR Pro Match Series. Don't miss Amanda Anisimova, Allison Risk, Danielle Collins, Ayla Tomljanovic squaring off three-day round robin beginning Friday, May 22nd at this very same court in West Palm.
Exciting field there. I'd like to see them get fired up. You see all these players get really fired up. Ali was super fired up at Wimbledon last year. She made her run. Danielle certainly on her way to the semis of the Australian Open.
Has Danielle Collins ever played in a match in which she was not fired up?
You bring up a very valid point, Brett.
That is one of the most fiery competitors I think that we have, at least outwardly. Outward exaltations doesn't always equate to what's going on inside your head and your heart, but Danielle, she's intense.
I for one, am a fan. That was a perfect picture of her that we showed up there.
Very apt. Very apt. So back here in the men's event as they blaze the trail here in this new normal of tennis. Perfect drop shot from Hurkacz.
Well, they noticed the second serve got so high up on Tommy, who was well behind the baseline, so perfect time to use the drop shot. Always the key when you're hitting that shot, when you choose to execute it.
Just seeing the plans for the women's event and seeing how well this event has gone gives us a chance to compliment the organizers. And a big tip of the cap to the folks at UTR, starting with founder and CEO Mark Leshley, President Ann Worcester, Chief Tennis Officer Stephen Amritraj, and all of their staff that helped imagine this whole thing.
Absolutely been a real treat, not just for tennis fans, but fans of all sports, to be able to watch these great competitors.
What a rolling passing shot on the short cross-court angle.
Well, we talked about Marty Fish earlier, talking about Tommy's taking a page out of his book with the socks, but took a page out of Marty's backhand there. Nice left hand action. Very good rollover. Nice hand control.
That was special.
$40-15.
Can't quite chip that return over, and so 1-all. You pointed out the use of the left hand by Tommy on that rolling passing shot. Do you find that players with the modern two-handed backhand are using more left hand or offhand than they did back in the day?
100%. I always think the best two-handers, whether it's right-handed or left-handed, always have really good use of their non-dominant hand. Rafa, for example, has such tremendous right-hand work on his backhand. Sometimes, even when he's on an open stance, really feels like he's hitting a righty forehand. Murat Safin did it great with his left hand. Really had that little extra flick when he needed it.
It also explains why so many tennis players who hit two-handed backhands, when they play golf, they play with the other dominant hand.
Marty Fish, a perfect example there. Exceptional golfer. Just steps up there like he's at the baseline, about to hit a backhand, and just puts it exactly where he wants it.
Jack Nicklaus called Marty Fish the best golfer he'd ever seen who was not a professional golfer.
Maybe one of the best compliments I've heard from possibly the best guy.
Right. And that passing shot finds the open space up the line. You could hear Tommy say, "I knew it was coming." He was talking to his coach, but I decided to cover the cross court.
A little more vocal today, which we love. Point out some nice athleticism there from Hurkacz. Sliding on the run, hitting that pass.
30 off.
This is where you know that pride is going to take over to some degree for Tommy. You know, there's some money implications on the result of this match, but he doesn't want to go 0-4 at this thing.
Well, Brett, I can guarantee you one thing. If he goes 0-4 and Riley takes the title, there are going to be some dinner discussions tonight.
The ride back to Del Rey, I imagine, will be unpleasant for this man in all white.
30, 40. Alexander Zverev.
I mean, now he's bringing Sasha into this.
Was he comparing the serve to, or the return to Zverev?
He may have been taking a shot at Sasha after he put up a double fault there.
Oh, that's what he was. You're so right. It just hit me that Zverev had the double fault yips for so much of last year.
Thinking, what did Sasha do? He's not here.
And another return winner from Hurkacz, who gets the early break. So Tommy Paul in danger of going 0-4 and firing a shot across the Zverev bow.
Time.
Hurkacz early break in our third place playoff match. Brett and Prakash and the gang as we continue the return of tennis and the return of pro sports to the U.S. for the first time. So proud that tennis is leading the way. Compliments to our Tennis Channel team on the ground in West Palm for a real technical masterpiece with the skeleton crew.
Left 15.
Hurkacz holds his tongue after the double fault.
Hurkacz isn't one to let the words fly.
No.
He's a little more controlled. Well, he got the break that he wanted, and uncharacteristically, from the last 24 hours of play, he's been fairly clean. Stingy, not giving away too many errors, but double fault and a loose backhand error.
Tommy got his first taste of top-level professionalism when he was still just 17. He got the call that so many young juniors covet to this day, and that is the call from the Roger Federer camp to come be a practice partner. This was at the 2014 US Open when Tommy was in the juniors. He said it was a day he'd never forget. Waiting for a call.
30-40.
He calls it good.
He gets it.
You could see Hubie going through his mental Hawkeye as he stared at it for a while. So break point erased. Another one coming here on deciding point. Tommy with the choice of court. He's going to stand pat in the ad. And a service winner for Hurkacz, so he wiggles out of a couple of break chances. Extends to 3-1.
Well, I think just to stop the momentum, Tommy's really going to need to hold his serve here, at least make Hurkacz serve out this set. If not, we might see a runaway train.
Beautiful drop shot from Hurkacz, and then the stretch forehand volley.
Good anticipation there from Hurkacz. You can see him leaning after this split step to the right. Big guy. I'd like to see him get more comfortable up at net. Add another strong element to his already developing game.
Love 30.
He did have some pretty good doubles results, Hurkacz, in the juniors. He made the final of the Australian Open Junior Doubles in 2015 with Alex Molkan of Slovakia. You don't get that far in a doubles draw without knowing your way around the forecourt at least a little bit.
Certainly not, especially at a junior Grand Slam.
A little careful here, Tommy. Clutching the lower back. He was gesturing towards his leg a little bit yesterday.
You're good. 30-0.
Well, if you think about it, the off-season isn't generally very long in tennis, usually about 4 weeks, and usually practicing for most of that. This is really the biggest break you're going to have as a professional tennis player, except for if you're injured. So it's always going to be a little adjustment for the body coming back.
That's why this is such uncharted territory. You know that the legends of the game, the higher ranked guys, are a little more judicious about their scheduling. They build breaks into the season, but when you're a lower ranked guy, Hurkacz, you don't have that luxury.
No, you don't. And it's funny, you hear so many players talking about, oh, the season's too long, there are too many tournaments, and now it's been a break and everyone is just itching to get back out there.
Goodness, what in the world?
But that ball was headed straight for you.
Well, and the forehand was just as entertaining as the first serve.
Deuce.
Tommy using every part of the racket, including the frame.
I go ahead.
This was the serve. Well, that was the second serve. He had one of those yesterday. He almost decapitated the chair umpire.
That was close. That was close.
All right, so deciding point for Hurkacz. It's also a set point for Hurkacz. And the double fault gives the pole the opening set as Tommy loses the plot with his location a little bit. There's Riley checking his phone, getting ready for the championship match coming up after this one. It'll be Riley and that man, Misha Kecmanovic, biding their time in their privacy pods just off center court here in West Palm. Our thanks to the homeowner, who shall remain unnamed as we protect privacy and social distancing. But it's a beautiful venue, a good 6 acres of land, and outstanding hospitality for the players and the crew that's helped put it together.
We'll just call him Fifi's dad.
That's exactly what he is, and Federer's dad as well.
Love 15.
Well, after Tommy took that first set against Misha, it's been rough goings for him for the next 3.
Love 30.
That was a sarcastic fist pump to his coach, I believe, after the double fault.
I would have liked a little commentary from Tommy along with the fist bump, but he's been very entertaining with that today.
Just wide. Oh, that was a near ankle breaker hitting behind Tommy. Testing it out. Oh.
15-40.
Ripper of a forehand gives Tommy 3 break chances here.
Well, it looked like Hurkacz was in very good position. Great kicker out wide. Opened up with the forehand inside in, but absolute rocket from Tommy Paul. Couple break points.
30-40.
Speaking of rockets.
Didn't go too close to the center line there. Picked a big target and just went big with pace.
Deuce. Deciding point.
It's
Receiver's
really his
choice.
go-to serve in the ad court. He uses that height well. Really hops that serve out wide.
So Tommy is going to avoid the ad court on this deciding point. And it works for him. So Tommy gets the first break of set number 2.
He's hung in there, giving himself a shot. See if he can capitalize.
It's our drone at low altitude flying just behind the player staging tents as the guys change ends. It's been really fun, and as we tip the cap to our Tennis Channel technical crew on the ground, led by our Jefe Bob Wiley, producer Mitch Rubenstein, and the men and women who brought us these pictures, to have a crane like the one you see at the bottom of your screen behind both baselines, to have a jib overhead, and rather a drone overhead, and some lockdown robocams on the court to follow players at close range. This is a different way of televising tennis, and I've loved it.
Absolutely. For me, it's really been about the angles as well. We've been able to get sort of inside the game in a way we haven't. You're able to see a little bit more on the racket head speed, the positioning. Gives you a more intimate look. It's been very cool.
So for example, this angle from behind the returner, you see as the crane sort of follows Hurkacz from the deuce to the ad. That's not a luxury you have when there are stands. May have been wide along the sideline, but Hurkacz didn't call it, and Tommy put it away. This.
Again, I think I did see it same as you, Brett. A little bit wide, but Hurkacz had the best view in the house. So 30 love to the American.
Love.
Nice aggressive play. Solid volley up there. Short backswing, punches it out in front of him.
By the way, just to put a point on the discussion about cameras and coverage, you see those 2 cameras on the left side of your screen that don't have camera operators. Those are what we call in TV land the low boys that give you the close-ups of the players. You've watched a million tennis tournaments on TV. You know that those cameras are always manned by guys sitting in chairs, kind of lugging those things around. They're robotic today. Oh, what a brilliant whipping pass from Tommy Paul on the short angle cross court. So Tommy gets to 2 love in the second, as we remind you to download the free Tennis Channel app for all your devices. Best way to stream Tennis Channel, access TC Plus, and watch hundreds of on-demand videos all in one place, available now at all the usual App Store locations. Off the baseline and off Hurkacz's frame, out of the court.
15-30.
Good connect there on that backhand return. Big misnomer when I see amateurs play a lot. They think you got to take a big swing to crack a big return. Big key, as you've seen all the greatest returners do, use the pace of the server. Short backswing, move your momentum forward through the ball.
Drop shot wide from Tommy.
30 off.
What would be the thing that you would like to see from Tommy Paul in sort of the next evolution of his progress?
It's really just tightening everything up. And as Andy said, a lot of what Tommy can improve on is a choice. Skill set, talent, of course, you can't improve on it a lot of times. Sometimes you can add skills, but what you've been given with is what you've been given with. But for Tommy, you can improve on fitness. You can make a decision to be a bit more focused.
Oh, curls that passing shot in.
See, athleticism like that, sometimes you just got it. And there's so much that Tommy has in his pocket. See, brilliant here. This just comes out. Talent just comes out, which is lovely to see. But you want to give yourself all the opportunities for the talent to come out at the right times.
Chance for a double break for the American. Overhead off the frame from Hurkacz turns into a drop shot unintended, but Tommy able to track it down, and he's got a 3-love lead. Lovely sights around, well, this would be Palm Beach proper. We're across the Intercoastal Bay in West Palm, just a couple miles inland from the Atlantic in this beautiful property. I keep wanting to call it the consolation match. We're going to say third place playoff. And Tommy Paul has seized control here in set number 2, serving for the set.
Love.
I'd like to see a little comeback win from Tommy here. End with a win to close out his campaign.
Make that drive back to Delray just a little more bearable.
Love.
Hurkacz will have a slightly longer drive home. He's based in the Tampa area at the Saddlebrook Resort. And just like that, whole handful of set points for Tommy, who's been bageled a handful of times in this tournament to bake one for his opponent.
Second serve. $40-15.
Good return there from Hurkacz. Saves one. Still 3 more set points left. There it is.
So Tommy, a little taste of revenge as he wins a set and wins it at love. Third set coming to decide this one. Little breeze whipping in West Palm on this Saturday. Hurkacz and Paul split the first 2 sets, third one on the way. As is the championship match coming up between American Riley Opelka and Serbia's Misha Kecmanovic. What do you expect in that one, Hurkacz?
Well, I think Misha's playing a bit better than he did yesterday, and Riley looked a little bit slow to start the day. Hopefully this break and having warmed up in that first match will help him, but I'm expecting to see a little bit more of an even contest than we saw yesterday.
That's coming your way after this match and a tweener chat with Mr. Courier and Mr. Anacone.
Love.
We're looking for a stray tennis ball. The perils of being your own ball kid, you know, sometimes one gets lost.
Let for serve. 30 love.
Just long. That is why there was a missing tennis ball in the mix.
Seen a few from those today from Tommy.
Love.
Not an easy ball to hit from Hurkacz. Moving to his right, going back up the line behind his opponent off a tough shot. Did it nicely.
Gosh.
All right, so Hurkacz, love hold to open up the final set. See if Tommy can sustain the level that he showed us in set number 2. It's been an issue for him in that a couple times during the round robin he won the opening set and then got steamrolled in the second and third, as we show you again the championship match on the way after this.
Excited to see the big man here in action. He really has looked overall like the best player of the field. But Misha was looking really tough today. Really showed that grit that he's been showing on tour. There's the big man.
Having a chat with his coach Jay Berger, who's got the Ibis pullover on. That's the subdivision where he's the touring pro, both in Naples, there's one, and here in West Palm.
15 left.
Chuck Gill, the longtime head professional at Ibis Naples, instrumental in helping us get the tennis side of this set up here this week.
Look, it sat in, skidded off the line perhaps. That's why you saw that reaction from Tommy Paul.
Seems like the time between points is getting a little bit longer as fatigue sets in towards the end of day 2.
Well, that's the other point. When you're collecting your own balls, you can kind of make your own time a little bit. First mini opening now of the third set. 15-30 for Hurkacz. Really good return there. See, that's the other option. When you get a kick serve, instead of moving forward and cutting it off, as we've seen some of the players do, you really take a few extra steps, get well behind the baseline, let it drop down to a comfortable waist height, then take a full cut at the ball, as Hurkacz did there.
The only danger you run on a court like this, where there isn't as much foul territory as we're accustomed to on tour, is that you may meet face and fence.
Hurkacz was very, very close there.
Cannot pull off the sky hook, and Hurkacz gets the break in set 3.
Tremendous defense there.
So just past 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we welcome you to live coverage on Tennis Channel of the UTR Pro Match Series Fred Haber, Hurkacz, Amritraj, and our entire team in both Florida and Los Angeles. This is the third place playoff of our two-day four-man tournament, marking the return of pro sports to the United States. This will be our championship match coming up in just a bit. Opelka and Kecmanovic. A special welcome to viewers on all 21 of the Sinclair regional sports networks around the country, including Yes Network in New York, Marquee Network in Chicago, the CW station in West Palm, and viewers around the world who are thrilled as we are to have professional top-tier tennis back.
Set it up perfectly, missing a lot of balls just by a small margin today. Tommy, gotta be a bit frustrating for him. You can see it.
We're all settling into sort of the new dynamics over the last couple of days of this type of event with no fans and no lines people and no ball kids, but encouraging. Hurkacz, that sort of the inherent socially distanced nature of this sport to begin with sort of lends itself to an early return from all this.
You would certainly think tennis has the best shot of coming back before, say, a team sport or others where you're in such close proximity to each other. But again, I think it just comes down to logistics, and this entire event has just looked into all of that, and it's come across quite smooth, as we've seen.
Hurkacz goes up the line with that forehand. Obviously, the biggest obstacle with tennis is the international travel for all the players who come from disparate points around the globe. And we'll solve that problem at some point. But for now, to have regional or even local events like this where the players just get in their cars, maybe that is the path back at the beginning.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is all of us fans of the sport have to just be a little flexible. Understand it's going to come in pieces.
So Hurkacz consolidates the break, gets to 3-love. He is a game away from the third place mark.
Time.
Third set has been all Hubert Hurkacz, just as the second set was all Tommy Paul. Game away now as Tommy serves near court to try to extend matters. Be interesting. We've talked about the women's event, which is coming up at this same venue in 2 weeks. Mark Leschly at Universal Tennis and Ken Solomon at Tennis Channel have talked about the possibility of growing this franchise and having events like this around the country.
Well, speaking from a player's perspective, I know that all of them would be just itching to get out there and compete. I know for a fact a lot of them are watching this as we speak.
There's been some early chatter about organizing a Southern California event for players, men and women, who are based in this part of the country. That would seem to be a natural.
And again, think about it. The really cool thing about UTR, they'd be competing on the same scale as the winner here, as all of the competitors here.
This is a prize money event, by the way, as Tommy continues to sort of hobble a little bit towards the end of this one. 2 points away for Hurkacz. Different amounts of prize money. It's undisclosed, but different amounts of prize money depending upon where you finish in this four-man field. I feel comfortable saying that it's not the $3 million first prize that the majors give out nowadays, but prize money nonetheless.
All the more reason why every single match matters.
Stretch volley from Hurkacz goes wandering.
Those are the shots I think he still has a bit of improvement he can make on, which is great because he has such a great upside, but getting a little bit more comfortable with technique at the net, comfortability at the net.
So double fault for Tommy, and they've come in bunches today. Leads Hurkacz to match points.
Well, even if you've been practicing over this quarantine period to come and play 2 matches a day, 2 days in a row, not easy. You can see the wear on Tommy's legs a little bit.
Point, receiver's choice.
So still match point for Hurkacz. This will be a deciding point in the no-ad format. Hubie's choice.
I think he takes the deuce court. Yes. Looks like it. Try to take away that pattern that Tommy likes. Kick her out wide, opening up the court.
And Tommy gets on the board in this final set, does his job on serve, so now Hurkacz will try to serve it out himself. Hurkacz trying to improve his overall mark in the tournament to 3-1 with a win here. Tommy trying to avoid 0-4. Championship match on the way between Opelka and Kecmanovic, who are both 2-1 through the round robin.
Love 15.
Yeah, I thought I heard it midway through the point. Tommy did break a string again. That's his third in 2 days. Isn't the rule of thumb that when you break a string midpoint, you're supposed to net rush?
Generally, but you know, it's all about the player comfortability. Players are comfortable with loose strings, they can stay back.
There's your championship match on the way. Opelka and Ketsmo.
Ketsmo.
That's
I might stick with that.
is that I ran that up the flagpole. Is anybody saluting?
15 all.
I'll give you a salute.
Okay, thank you.
I like Ketsmo.
There's Ketsmo.
Thirty 15.
Boy, you gotta love the one thing about Hubert. He just goes back to the well. No muss, no fuss. Just gets on with his business. Next point.
You understand when you watch him play and just how solid and unmovable he is, how in the last year he has beaten Dominic Thiem, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Gael Monfils, Kei Nishikori twice, Diego Schwartzman, Denis Shapovalov, and on down the line.
I think it's a perfect sign of things to come. Just a willingness to work with a good attitude, good work ethic, good belief in yourself. So much of the time that's what leads to success, in whether it's sport or any field, really.
Well, don't look now, but Tommy Paul has some break points here to put this final set back on serve. Craig Boynton, the Hurkacz coach. Was that a mask adjustment or a hand signal to Hubie?
Good attacking tennis there.
Deciding point.
Save that break point.
Match point for Hurkacz, break point for Paul.
Is Tommy taking the ad side?
That he is.
Well, we know Hubie likes that one out wide. Let's see where he goes.
Just long on the return, and Hubert Hurkacz of Poland is your third place man in West Palm.
Nice little racket tap at the end there from both players. Little back and forth. 4-1, love 4, 4-1, but lots of credit to Hurkacz. He was really solid all the way through the weekend.
So Hurkacz, I would think, would be pleased. You see the Hubie insignia on his racket bag next to the Polish flag above the Yonex logo, that he managed a 3-1 overall record in the 4 matches he played here this week. A little disappointing for Tommy, but as you pointed out, he is just now working himself back into shape.
A little unlucky for Hubie as well. Stroke of luck, he could have been in the final. Certainly playing good enough to win this event.